So much for joining us today, sir. My next speaker is Mr. Praveen Rao, AGM Sales, Geze India Private Limited. Mr. Rao is working with Geze, a German company that's 160 years old and about 16 years old in India, which is headquartered in Chennai and deals in door controls. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Rao. And my final panelist is Mr. Balamurali, Managing Director, MacTech Security Systems. He has witnessed firsthand the critical importance of robust security systems in protecting individuals, businesses, and assets. Recognizing the growing need for cutting-edge solutions at MacTech, his primary goal is to provide peace of mind to their clients, ensuring their safety and protecting their valuable assets. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Over to you, KK sir.
Thank you very much. I welcome all the panelists. I think we have a very good mix of panelists here. We have two people from the manufacturing side, the product side. We have one gentleman from the integrator side, and we have one gentleman from the user side. So I think this kind of a mix did not happen. I'm very happy that we have a very good mix of panelists here. To start with, safety and security are two critical pillars of any facility, irrespective of the size or purpose. Modern days bring modern challenges, newer challenges. A strategy that ensures futuristic approach based on anticipated threats is more robust and trusted. We have experts here who are going to take us through various aspects of building security. Thank you very much. So I start with my first question, and this is for everybody here. The first one is, are access control systems and building security being given the importance it deserves? I start with Mr. Ravi Kumar.
Okay, welcome to all. First of all, I would like to thank calling me for this panel being here, and I would like to thank Anita, Madam, and Raghu for organizing and making me to be here. So to answer the question, I'm mostly in the airport sector, so I would like to say yes. It is a yes in the airport sector, where you use and we give a bit more importance for access control. It is not at the airport or operator level. Is it at the, I'm sorry, it is at the government level. Even the authorities push for access controls, and nowadays if you look at the access controls are considered to be more vital in managing the people, because airport as such, it's not only the passengers, there are a lot of stakeholders, regulatory authorities, and maybe the staff, back of the house staffs and the front of the house staffs. So it's a mix of people who could be allowed to go to certain areas, who could not be allowed to go to certain areas. Even the passengers or public, they could go to certain areas where their areas of use are. And particularly in airports, we have integrated airports today, where domestic, international, all are put together as a passenger. When they travel through domestic, they are not allowed to go to an international area. And even as a traveler, you may be departing from airport or you also arriving to airport. So Indian contexts are very critical in not allowing or mixing passengers in this context. So the answer is yes. We give more importance to biometric. There are biometric controls that have come in place. Earlier, mostly we have been using the magnetic card readers through which access controls are maintained and managed. However, going forward, there are a lot of digitalization through biometrics are happening. And from the government perspective, DG Yatra is one of the solution where government for empowering travel is done through biometric access.
Thank you, Mr. Ravi. Mr. Ashok.
In our experience, what we see is that in certain domain segments, market segments, the security is being driven by the occupants of that particular building. Largely, if you see in the IT sector, the multinational companies who come in to set have their very strong access security guidelines, which ask the builders or the providers to ensure that that kind of security is available. We also have high security government establishments which are mandated by certain requirements to have that kind of security. Having said that, we still have not got into that mentality of being having a security in our DNA primarily. I think that's something which we find security is, we see that it's just a mandatory frisking by a guard with a metal detector. But he doesn't know what to do if this gets a beep. I've seen security guards trying to do a metal detector in a car, where the car itself is metal. So I think there has to be education in terms of driving those systems. But by and large, because of the occupants driving the security, I think importance has come to play, definitely.
Thank you. Mr. Praveen.
Hello. Yeah. I represent Geze, which is basically into entry systems. That is known as automation industry for the doors. When it comes to safety and security, when the lift industry talks so much about it, it is actually a boon for us. Because most of the times in Indian market, what we get is like, oh, these are highly engineered product. We can't afford it, or it's unnecessary. So this kind of things are a very big welcome for a we like products, and safety and security is the need of the hour. And every product of ours, be it a swing door or a sliding door or even a barrier-free entry systems or turnstiles or boom barriers, we've got everything for a building, right from the entry system. It could be a boom barrier, then the turnstiles, then the revolving doors, then comes the, each room has got different entry systems. It could be either sliding or swing. All we have the automation with high degree of security. So we are very much pleased to take part in this exhibition, though I'm not a part of this elevator industry. But one thing which really integrates us is the safety and security. That's the common factor. So I'm really happy to take part here. Thank you.
Mr. Balamurali.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Murli. I'm the director of MacTech Security System. About our company, we are the leading manufacturer in indigenous way of creating physical security products. As per the panel discussion about the importance which is given to the physical security products in our country, I preferably say yes and no. Yes, in the sense, yes, if the customer is getting complete exposure, what kind of solution they are looking for, definitely company like us, many companies are there, are giving a good solutions. But the worst part is it's not being exposed in the market. See, as rightly sir has said, if a door frame metal detector is there and persons are passing through and the alarm is beeping around, the security is completely confused what to do. Whether the alarm is beeping, has to be called for a scrutiny, or is it okay, and what is the alarm sound coming from. See, the market is clear, the product is clear, but the technology where we are trying to take it and trying to pitch in matters a lot. See, there are, for example, we take up the metal detector. See, the metal detector which is used in the airport is purely different from the common platform where we are selling it. See, the airport metal detector has all the features starting from your belt, your low density items, high density. So there is a clear picture that what kind of product to be sensed. Same way it has to be given the priority. But in the case of few projects, wherever we do on many projects we come across, generally customers are trying to negotiate with us what is the product you have, but the real application is not being given. So once you just focus on yourself about the application, what kind of products you are pitching, what kind of solution they are looking for, definitely there is a boom and definitely there is a scope that we can pitch in a right product and we can sell it. And today's scenario about the question is very clear. Yes, India is marching towards a clear instruction that security has to be given the prior importance, and it is on progress. Now customers are getting highly educated and customers are getting the exposure that these products are in the need of the hour. But how we are recommending and what kind of solutions we are recommending based on the customer depends a lot. So once you focus on a proper customer, analyze his application, analyze his requirement, definitely there are good products available in the market, whether it's made in India or made in any country. The requirement is there, but we have to express ourselves with a proper channel and to make sure that these are the need of the hour. Definitely there is a way we can improve the security standards in India.
Thank you. My next question is to Mr. Ravi Kumar. Most of the security and access systems revolve around people. Do you think it should go beyond that? That in the sense, entry, exits, and of persons, and not about many other things? And what do you think should be included in that security aspect?
See, security is about awareness to start with. So, the more you are aware and the more you are equipped and educated, you know how to use them, and even the people who are responsible to support the security part will do that. As our gentleman Murli said, equipments are there, but people just either they ignore it or they don't really pay attention to that. In reality, in airport-like places, we do a lot of education about the product. We make sure we comply to the regulations, and we also ensure that such any mishap shouldn't be happening. The recent mishap, particularly in Bangalore, yesterday there was a blast which happened. So it's all like a bit of a lapse of security, or the amount of security measure we take around certain areas. Public areas is quite difficult to control and manage, but if you do it in a more right way and right perspective, it's all can be managed and controlled. And the most important thing, the awareness that need to go to a common level people. So which is quite prime important to get there. And as such, he said, as Murli said, products are there. To very high-end technologies are very much available in the market today. Even in airports, particularly in India, we are bringing in body scanners, which is much more than what a metal detector will do. So it does pick metals and non-metals. So explosives could be in any nature. It is not only it is metallic in nature. So the more you are aware, the more you are being educated about, then you get there to control all this in a more comfortable way.
Thank you very much. Do you want to add,
yeah,
add
yeah.
something to it?
I think security can be used as a platform to increase the comfort and the ease of operations inside a building. So when we see security, we are not only limiting it to just an access control to allow a person to come in. It can extend to the way he is going to use an elevator. It can extend to the way where he can go and park a car. It can extend into several other things, which it can extend into a canteen management system. So the security is like a platform upon which various conveniences for the occupants can be built in, and so it's an extension of how the building occupants can use that particular system and enable them to achieve that.
Thank you very much. Yes,
Just to add this point, the security, when you really do a security process or a checks on a people, just make them free. Just make them go through the way or in a channel where they will be more comfortable with. Don't create a fear where people will be much more have a bit of hypertension. That shouldn't be the case. So allow them to go through a free channel, make them that they are just part of the process. It's not they are going to put into a special task.
yes, yes, I agree. Anyone else wants to answer that?
As I mentioned earlier, see, all our products are with a very high degree of security quotient. You know, it's like not just a door to open when anybody comes. There are a lot of parameters, a lot of degrees of screening which takes place. I mean the restricted entry, the so-called the restricted entry. That's what we are really aim for. So that's what I want to add in this perspective.
See, about the entry-exit strategies of evaluating the threat, I personally feel that when we implement the proper mechanism and the proper technology in the entry-exit, 99% yes, we can completely scrutinize the things and make it in order. So unless until we give way for that in the entry-exit, I don't think so we need to cover up the entire building. The entry-exit strategy of implementing these high-end security equipments will ensure that you are getting the proper channel. Then the circulation of people, I don't think so we need to focus more on the entire building. Entry exit is the main area where we can just cover up and make sure that we make these people live and work comfortably over there instead of just showing much interest in the in the working area. I personally prefer entry and exit where we can just ensure threats are being evaluated, scrutinized, and we resolve it. Then we make them people to have that comfort zone so they don't worry about even the threat. So that's what I feel entry exit is a major role in the security threats.
Thank you. I have a question for Mr. Ashok. Access control systems and access strategies are integrated with the vertical transportation systems. What are the challenges that you see?
Based on the experiences we have had in integrating an access control system to an elevator control system, the destination control system, like all integrations, it is most important that common language be spoken by the access control system and the destination control, the elevator control system. We need to have that there are certain standard protocols which are available for such integration. If this does not happen, what will then happen is then we'll have to spend time and energy in developing a very customized solution, which will then become very specific for that particular application. So to just give an example, the two systems should be able to talk at least one or two or three different protocols. Just to give an example, BACnet or Modness on IP or ASCII on IP. If both the access control system and the elevator system are able to exchange information in any one of these three, then the integration becomes easier. But what we have seen is that sometimes there is a non-standard protocol which comes in, of which the awareness is also much less. Then it takes more time and effort to build that solution. So I think if we move in this direction of being open, like all the other things which we talked about in the previous session, and then it makes things easier for us to achieve the objective.
Thank you. Praveen, your take on that.
Yeah, in most of the cases, wherever when we do a hospitality project, see, we have to work in tandem with the elevator people because certain areas the entries are restricted. For example, the swimming pool area, where the moment they come out of the elevator, if the entry is denied, and then our sliding doors which are put there will not permit them beyond that point. And if lifts today, and everybody for that matter uses the same sort of card, the card is like pretty compatible. Either the lift people do the automation or an integrator or the door people. Either way, when we are all on the same page, it's very easier for the integration. In most of the projects, wherever we have come across this challenge, we have done it with ease because the industry is evolving. More and more number of organized people are in the fray. So going forward, it will get better and better. That's my take. Thank you.
So Balmurugan, you want to add something?
Yeah, thank you. Regarding this vertical transport system integration with the access control, definitely it's a boom and a curse. Why? Because the exposure given for the access control has to be given to the equivalent to the elevator side. For example, if an architect or consultant is designing a building, he wants to have this access control along to be integrated with the elevator system. So the amount of success ratio and the amount of exposure has to be definitely evaluated before we come to a conclusion. So there we are losing. So because I personally, and I just take this as an opportunity to say that, so whenever we are designing such a system, I want the consultant architects and even the clients to have a physical review of those products which is being successfully installed, and they have to do a SWOT analysis so that they come to know what are the challenges they face, and then we can see the major thing would be the word called compatibility. When you talk about the compatibility, it sounds very simple, but it has a very in-depth meaning because the compatibility is a major feature for integrating any third-party access control system with another fourth-party access control system. So preferably, rather than choosing the design and the look and the aesthetic, we should go for the compatible zone so that we can evaluate this access control is integrating with this elevator system, and this has a very good feature. And once we trial and do these things, we might get that success ratio. Once you work on that success ratio, definitely a system integrator or a OEM, see, as a OEM, I develop a product, and there are a few premium system integrator who try to do this, but at the time of installation, the two different OEMs are in the picture. One is the access guy, another one is the elevator guy. The connection between them is zero. So the system integrator who tries to take an order, who tries to win the client's mind, he wants to create a solution that gets the attraction. But ultimately, because there is no connection between the access control guy and the elevator guy has not been successfully installed, rather the client has not physically reviewed it, that makes a scratch. There we find that a difficulty starts, and that one by one it gets into the trouble. So I preferably say that there should be definitely a clear exposure between the access control and elevator control. They should do a trial error, and they should test it and keep the word compatibility on a positive note, so that when we recommend to the client and the tenants, they should feel that yes, it's working fine. Because in the morning hours, everybody is working on, for example, 9 o'clock if an office is opening, so everybody tries to touch in the timing of 8:55, 8:57 because of the traffic and other stuffs. So that time we cannot make that particular employee to stand. That one employee stands, he creates a ruckus and he gets a problem. That creates a bad impression about the access control entire system. Out of 1,000 people, one might not got the timely entry, but the entire solution can be a point of discussion whether it is successful. So I preferably say that we should have a physical drives rather than implementing before the site things. Thanks.
Thank you. Sir, you have anything to say?
Say on interface with access control with elevators is as airport, maybe as a vision, what I do have is to integrate one more component, CCTV as well. So the camera, biometric access, or maybe the magnetic reader access. Today access you can do it through mobile as well if you have a proper interfacing protocol. So whatever the access possibilities are there, so we would like to tie up together to make sure the person who is making a journey in airport, his informations are being taken correctly, and then we know who is going through and what he does. So to extend, we want to do that way, and that's a vision we are moving forward. So today we do have interface with access card readers, so it's already working in airports. That's not a challenge, but we want to go for a next step to integrate along with CCTV as well in this journey.
Thank you very much. My next question is to Mr. Balamurali. Lobby access is one of the key elements in security. What is the most important scientific consideration one should have while designing lobbies, especially the lift lobbies?
Pretty well interesting question. And one thing I would like to say, any building, any premises, we get into the design aspect, the first thing would be the lobby. Based on the lobby, the output of the lobby which has been created gives the entire impact of the whole building. So preferably when we are designing any lobby, the consultant architect spends a lot of time in designing the lobby. So being a OEM or a system integrator in that particular subject, we should show some keen interest and ensure that we are designing a solution that matches the aesthetic, ambience, security, as well as the adaptability to the building thing, so that it comes along with the product. Because when you are designing anything very traditionally or anything in vintage pattern or anything in a very modern thing, when you are not able to match the aesthetic thing, it will again create an impact. And second thing, we should analyze the scenario. For example, when we are designing a solution for an IT park, we should know what is the morning crowd, what is the in time. See, we might design a swing barrier or flap barrier with 1 million operation, 10 million operation, and many more. But when you talk about the passage time, at least for example, I don't want to name any IT park. I have done a project in an IT park where there was some 7,000 to 8,000 morning crowd. So we were calculating this, the million operation, look, aesthetic, everything. It's a 4-5 years before. The scenario was very clear. 8:45 to 9 o'clock, 7,000 will be rushing. So we should design a system that allows that passage time to be in the clear zone, as well as it does not disturb the aesthetic, and finally this should be fail proof. So those things has to be considered while designing a system, that too in a lobby. Preferably you will have your door frame metal detectors, you will have your X-ray baggage scanners, you will have sometimes some clients are coming up with RFID, some clients are going with facial recognition, palm recognition, vein recognition, and so many things. So we should understand that what kind of solution we are giving, whether it will match up the time, and also it should match that the aestheticness of the building. Preferably 60% aesthetic and 40% the compatibility. If we are focusing on both these parameters very simultaneously, definitely there would be a chance that there won't be any hassles in while designing the systems in lobby.
Just to add to that, one important thing which we desired is the throughput of the barrier system and the throughput of the lift system. So the lobby, normally when we find in our practice that the first important thing is the throughput of the lift, and that is important, which will govern how many number of lanes you need to put. Because sometimes we find that we may have more number of lanes, but that's not going to help because the lift capacity is not going to take out so many people, then it does not make sense. So I think the first step is to evaluate what is the number of people will be taken out, and based on that you arrive at, because you can't send people faster and then make them wait at the lobby.
Exactly. The elevators are designed basically for a 5-minute handling capacity. So I think the barrier system also should be able to handle that kind of a demand that is created in the arrival. Yes, Praveen.
When you said about the lift lobby area, we have a product. It has become a big stricture as well. Like the lift lobby area should be cordoned off in case of fire emergency. We have the automated sliding systems which are fire rated. In case of fire, it has a rating for 2 hours of fire controlling capacity. That is, the total integrity would last for 2 hours, and for about 90 minutes, it has got the temperature controlling. That is thermal resistivity, so that the manual sliding staircase could get used. Otherwise, the fire might engulf into the whole building and the people won't be able to get evacuated. For the last 3 4 years, even in Indian market, it has become a mandatory thing. So this is another development. This yokes us with the lift industry as well. That's the one prime reason I have taken part in the exhibition as well.
Thank you. Yes, sir, please.
See, the lobby as such, we do have a conventional design where the flap gates and things are not in place. Wherever you bring in flap gates or e-gates, whatever you can call, they have to be designed in such a way that they don't interfere the flow of people, they don't interfere with the fire codes, and they are naturally put in a way where people would be able to go through in a more in a cordial and casual way, rather queuing up there and then again queuing up in front of the elevators. So these queues and backlogs always create a risk to the process. So always, whenever who is part of the design, take care of this kind of situations and design it so decently so that you don't create such kind of problem.
Thank you very much. So this next question is for everybody. This incidentally is also in alignment with the previous panel discussion that happened on accessibility. Now, we are all aware that every design should address persons with disability. What are the critical aspects in ensuring a barrier-free access without compromising on security? Mr. Ravi Kumar.
See, for PRM access, there are access devices which are to that accessible heights, and they are very much up there. So as such, in our industry, we don't see a big challenge in that unless people come with a special wheelchairs which is beyond the standard ones. There we face a challenge. Otherwise, standard wheelchairs, we do have ways to take them in, and it's not putting them in special conditions or route where they can really put it dazzles. But only people, so there are some people who have got a lot of motorized things which are much more than a flight door access. Normally, as a though whatever you are, you'll not be able to take it through a aircraft door. So that will be a limiting size. So if you fall backwards from the entry of an airport till the journey till the boarding gate, there's a point up to which you can use your own personal things, but at some point you have to pass it on to the standard ones which have been used in the airport. So that's how it has to be there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Ashok.
I think one thing we focus major is the use of wide lane handicap barriers for access from an access control point of view. Of course, that's in terms of access, purely in access. We don't address, to my knowledge, we don't address any other disability in terms of using the access security system. But I think this is one thing which we ensure that when there are lanes, you all definitely have one lane for handicap barrier, which is a wide lane to accommodate the person entering or exiting the place.
Again, it is on the way how we use it. If your more attention is towards larger flow of regular people, there you can, and your space is limited, then you would go your normal size where a normal person can go through. So special people, you could have a special way where they could go through. So it little bit might look as inconvenience to them because in the crowd or things they have to maneuver to that point and get there. So maybe give them the preference for them to be in the easy way to access and get through, whereas the normal people can go in a different direction as well.
Thank you, sir. Praveen.
Most of our operator, the access is given and it could be given on your own phone. The phone is the ultimate device today. when the access is given through your phone, you will be more comfortable. You know, it will be all the time. It has become an integral part of you, and one won't be able to, you know, use it, or you will not lose it. So most of our operators, be it swing door or slidings or our barriers, all these entries can be integrated on your cell phone. So that's best one at the moment. It's happening in the industry, I feel.
Thank you. Mr. Balamurali.
Regarding the question of physically challenged disabilities while using the barriers, yes, we all have a solution of wide lane where people use it and get the access and they pass through. But more than that, I personally again insist that every building should start their physically challenging starting from their car parking, from their lobby. They should be constructing a ramp. It should make them feel comfortable, not a preference. It's a part and parcel of our life. So they should be given a preference, as well as the technology has to be shared equally among the barriers. We shouldn't put a separate gate, something like that. Instead, we should aesthetically design a barrier that allows them to pass through with the same channel. The look, the design, the feel, it should all have a same functionality, so that they get the comfort zone while they're passing through. So when you are just even from the swing barrier, from the elevator, lobby, even everything, I think I'm very happy nowadays to see there are so many provisions has been given in the movie theaters, in very public places, in the car parking areas, that physically challenged people can park it. So yes, our country is developing. We are giving preferences and priority to those features. Now, the same thing, once we start coming up with the technologies, we should ensure that technology is being equally treated and the design should be equally driven so that they pass through like a normal gate. For that, we should have a proper planning starting from the car parking, lift lobby, even the positionings of the swing barriers, the design of the swing barrier should be the same. You should not put a normal lane for the people, and when you talk about the physical challenge, you just put another P gate that is called physical challenge gate. So we don't want that. We should extend the acrylic glass and increase the capacity of the motor and make it a common thing. They should walk like a regular thing, and try to implement this. Many sensors are coming up with the motion sensors, the palm sensors, the vein sensors, and whatsoever, and preferably the Bluetooth. Now it's again a booming technology in the Indian physical security market. So we can ensure that people try to use a Bluetooth mode. They just easily pass through. The gate can be adjusted accordingly to the speed, and they don't feel any difference. That's the thing we should focus more on. Instead of creating a separate pathway, you should create a pathway that is common for everyone. Just they should look like only a glass is extended. They shouldn't feel anything is different. That's what I feel.
I think just to add a few more things to that, maybe a tactile marking on the floor leading up to the barrier, a voice annunciation system just to allow people with disability know that the barriers are opening and closing, and an access provided either through face recognition or an RFID, so that they need not search for locations where they should place their card or palm. So I think these would enhance the experience of people with disabilities. Now coming to the last, yes sir, please, you have something to say. Okay. Coming to the last question, it's a very interesting question, and this is for everybody. What is that one technology or feature in the access and security systems that you would want the VHT industry to integrate with to make people in buildings smoother and secure? Mr. Ravi Kumar. That one futuristic thing that you want to happen.
Access control through biometric or facial may be the ultimate thing, but to make it work or to make it work in a real world, it's quite challenging. So though we may like it or not, that's a reality. And to be honest, on the one which I said about integrating the biometric part as well as with the CCTV technology, that would at least make sure a certain level of secureness where people will take the journey through elevator. And I think things will evolve because a lot of things are coming on the way, and there are multiple things on the table today. So it's still a debate or a discussion what would suit to the need of the industry, or even the kind of industry where such kind of access control to be used for security purpose, that can be moved out as per those industry standards. So not necessarily it has to be universal law. You have to be a bit flexible on the type of industry and how you use it.
Ashok.
I'll have to copy a remark. I heard someone say that the person should be able to move from the gate get to his seat with minimum discomfort and with maximum ease. I think that objective, if you are able to achieve, then I think that's partly the answer to what is expectation from VSG system.
Praveen.
The barrier-free entry is the dream for anybody to get into their destination when they get into a huge building. To a certain extent, it's happening. When we integrate it, when we do a lot of, we ourselves have done a lot of integration without wires, without connecting them physically. It's a broadband Wi-Fi. Through that, it gets connected. So that will ease a lot of our work. Going forward, I see a lot of such things happening in every domain, and the person who is entering will get into the place with less sweat. But again, a lot of security issues and other things, screenings are not gonna end. So the best thing for that is like the peace. The world should, go for peace, and something like bombs, terrorism should end. That will make our life easier, I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Balamurali.
My answer will be a little bit different from this. Instead of thinking of a technology, I prefer to think of a design. See, every technology has its own SWOT. So I personally prefer more than technology, I want the design to be on a very good note. So when you start designing in IT park about the access control, elevator, fire, PA, everything. So the consultant architect, the golden people who design all these things. So from the day one, they should create a feature, they should create a solution that what is the client's need. Once they have designed perfectly, and obviously that technology is the best. What happens so many places, the access control and the barriers always taken in the last part. Stating they say we can design later part, we can see to the later stage. We will see what the tenant says. We see whether tenant wants this not or not. We will see. So the postponing of this solution itself is the I think is a curse of technology. So whether you go with RFID, access, Wi-Fi, wireless, Bluetooth, Palm, whatsoever. I personally say that you should have these things inbuilt in a design in the initial stage. So once you have designed this in initial stage, definitely that technology is going to work, because when you start designing a thing, post the building completed or based on the tenant's request or based on the some kind of new things a company MD sees, he sees in America, Europe, he says I want to implement it. That time we face any technology we implement, that's completely going to be misfailing. So I preferably say more than technology, the design part to be taken care in a very stronger note, so that reduce the amount of, see, once you design in the initial stage, it's a green design. You will have that cabling to be taken care. As a OEM, as a system integrator, we know what is the pain of a cabling. Once we laid the cable, suddenly the client will say, no, I don't want this, shift it over. It's not an easy task to remove the marbles, relay the marbles and cut the work and do it. And that kind of a situation, whatever technology you try to implement, it's always a burden for us. So preferably in the initial stage of design, once you have chosen the thought process taken from a think tank stating that this is going to be an ideology, then that technology is always successful. Now, more than the last thing about technology, try to prefer less number of cables. Reduce the technology where we will use the cables a lot less, so that I think we can have a good maintenance-free things in the future. That's it.
Thank you. I think looking at the airport systems, I think we can get some idea about the way they are using DigiYatra. So that is one barrier-free access, smooth access. I think the future lies in something like that, which is integrated.
Yeah, true. See, today it is in airports. Similar security and other arrangements will come on all the facilities, infrastructures across the country. So slowly, because we want to make it more and more secure, then you need more and more data to understand and how you can control the risk. So obviously, airports are the first place where such kind of technologies are tested and tried. And because you are traveling, you need to travel in a more seamless way or in a time-bound fashion. So there all the focus and technologies comes into play. But other places like casual areas where we go to a mall or hotels or anywhere, so those kind of things will follow on. So the importance and the need, it's all based on the threat and threat perception around us. So if a threat perception goes down, automatically there might be a leniency towards this. Otherwise, the amount of checks and rigorous verification, validation will grow and more.
Thank you very much. I think that brings us to the end of the session. So we are now ready to take some Q&As. Kanishka.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to know is the integration of access control to the elevator. We talked about it. How matured is that, and what are the concerns? And second, I have is now the whole world is talking about AI. How AI actually integrating into this security and access control?
Yeah. The integration between access control and destination control elevator is actually quite mature now. It just needs the right protocol. It can be executed.
Because I had a lot of concerns when I spoke to the developers. Maybe, as you rightly said, not selecting the right technology, or I don't know. I just want to see the maturity of it.
You know, even in certain in our own experience, the elevator company needs that right person who is able to come and address that. The elevator, in my experience, the normal elevator teams who are there executing do not have access to that kind of integration skill capabilities. But it exists in all the elevator companies because it's not that they are not doing it outside. You need to get the right person who has the right knowledge, and it can be done. It can work within seconds. There is no problem. So it is the question of finding the right technology resource in that organization for doing it. Number
Sir,
one.
I will want to add something to that.
How matured is it? That's what I'm asking.
The technology is mature. It's only
in terms of usage.
usage. I feel that it is now in a tipping point. It will increase from now on. I'm very confident about that.
Can we blindly take it forward because that's the need of an hour?
Yeah, because it is imperative that that happens, because there is no way that the system can not work or be put on hold. It's reached a point where it needs to be done, and I'm confident that it will be done as we go along. You will see more and more of seamless integrations between access and the destination control systems happening. Mark my words.
So just to add a few things, the system is very mature, but the people are very immature. So long as there is indiscipline in coming to the lobby, you don't have a choice other than to integrate the DCS to the access barriers. You look at Japan.
But what matters is the ground level. Because my facilities are highly concerned. I mean, when we said we want to do that, they said, look, it's not fully matured and it's not really taking care of it. That's why I just wanted, experts' view on that.
The systems are very mature, sir. Systems are mature. The ultimate thing is people are very indisciplined. So tailgating happens if you don't integrate it. People will start misusing most of the elevators these days are all with DCS, destination control systems.
Yeah,
when destination control systems are there, it is imperative that a passenger registers a call. The only way to bring in that discipline is to pass them through a system that automatically registers a call. So that is integrating it with the barrier. We don't have any other choice other than disciplining the passengers.
But otherwise, system is quite matured and
yes,
we don't see hiccups.
Yes.
You will see more that happening. On your question on analytics, on your question on AI, what we are seeing is a lot of analytics being applied in the access control and the video surveillance part. You are aware of video surveillance and video analytics. So it's question of finding out what kind of alarms happen, why certain repetitiveness of alarms happen, where it is occurring. All those analytics will bring in much more ability of the operators to find out, or the security administration to find out where and how to address this. So I think we are seeing that in the post analysis of data which is coming in form of events and alarms from the access control system, and I think that will help in ensuring that the access control systems are working at the optimum level.
Okay, thank you.
So it's as such the the place of use, that matters a lot. So if your level of industry or the place where you want to use is highly critical, then you go for very high-end systems. So if it is little moderate, you choose your systems accordingly. If there is a high mass flow of people in there involved, then you choose it accordingly. So you have to choose where and how you want to utilize it. As a technology today, it exists from a simple card reader to a biometric level. So it's a facial recognition or iris or a thumbprint, anything you can use. So how you want to bring in or which matters for where, that qualification, that criteria need to be critically evaluated. Then put them into use, then you will see how to manage them.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
Good evening, speakers. Basically, especially at the airports, due to multiple security checks, the travelers tend to get irritated. So, can we look forward to a single point access system in future?
Yes, this is also one of the uh, vision of government to see whether everything works in one single place. But unfortunately, to handle a mass of people and do everything at single point, it's very, very challenging. So that's why the processes are split. The more you split, though you could become in a more short duration, you can do the process and move on. So we do have our own definition of internal SLAs or process time to keep up, so that the people doesn't queue up or spend more time in the process or in the journey. That's how we are aligning the systems, and then even the equipments, how we set it in place, how they are laid out, and then what level of throughput you want, what you extract from that point, the type of airport or even the size of the airport, and accordingly the kind of process systems you deploy, that has to match to get the outcome. And what happens in airport is initial times when you get to see a new airport, on opening day or the first few couple of years, you don't see any problem because the traffic grows slowly. And when we design or build an airport, it is built for a next 8 to 10 years time period where the saturation would happen. So if the saturation happened to be in the third or fourth year, then you would immediately see the crowd happening in the beginning. So most of our Indian airports, they already are saturated. And we, after saturation, after we overcrowd, then we start building things. So that's one of the differences where you would see from, say, countries like Singapore and here, you would see there is quite calm and quite people have been put into more ease of travel. Here it's not so. But actually the way it works is reverse. And yes, it is the kind of layout and then the equipment you choose, how to make the people move to the right speed and catch up in the time.
Thank you so much.
Any more questions?
Yeah, there is.
Sir, you are saying the system, the elevator system is matured enough to take the access control. Can you just tell me some example how it can be integrated? Is it with a Bluetooth or a RFID? Or how it is? Will it talk to the door access control system?
You're talking about the elevator and the access controls.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, basically what happens is that you have number of floors in a building. You have people who are allowed access into these floors. So when they show their card in the access control system, the access control system sends an information to the elevator system saying that this person is allowed access to the 10th floor, for example. Okay. The elevator system then will send an information back to the access control saying that this person can take the elevator car number 1. That unit is displayed along with the card reader in the turnstile. So the way it works is when a person is going through the turnstile, he flashes his card. This card information goes to the elevator system, it comes back in the turnstile lane and it comes on a display saying that which car number he has to take.
So that RFID has to be a universal one for the flap barrier and as well as the elevator.
No,
or else it may not work.
This we are talking about the level up to the level of the into the lobby area.
Lobby.
Right. Inside the lift, if you want an access control, then what you say is correct. If you want to restrict each person going to each floor with access same card, then you need to have the card credential has to be common. Then only it will work.
Thank you.
And you would have seen access control systems in the hotels where you enable and disable the car operating panel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your questions, and thank you speakers for giving such detailed answers. This panel discussion has left us with a plethora of ideas and workable solutions while addressing the crucial topic of security and inclusivity. I request the audience to give a round of applause to our speakers here for this concluding session. I now invite the Managing Editor and Vice President of Editorial of Elevator World magazine, Ms. Angela Baldwin, to step on the stage and hand over the mementos to our speakers. Can we please have a group photograph?